Hey, listeners, are you ready to unlock your potential and build generational wealth? Join us at the Health and Wealth Expo Live Summit on October 24th at the National Harbor in Maryland. It's your chance to learn from top experts and take control of your future. Visit healthandwealthsummit2024.com to register today. You've managed to build a platform around humor in an environment that's often so serious and stressful. What inspired you to use comedy to address the challenges nurses face, and how has it impacted your own experience with burnout?
Starting off, I did not intend to even grow a platform. I was at work and I was scrolling on TikTok. I came across a sound. I was like, oh, I could totally relate to this. So I used the sound and pretty much made it applicable to nurses in that scenario. And it blew up at the time.
Welcome to Nurses with Voices. I'm Dr. Lendra, your host and fellow nurse who's traded in burnout for breakthroughs. I'm here to show you how to transform your nursing career into one filled with purpose, reduced stress, and incredible opportunities. Whether you're looking to start your own business, build generational wealth, or simply find a healthier role in nursing, this podcast is for you. Join me to explore practical strategies to overcome burnout, combat bias, and chart new paths in nursing. It's time to reclaim your voice and reimagine your future in healthcare. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of Nurses with Voices. Today, we have a guest who's not only navigating the intensity of the ICU, but also using humor to cope with the everyday challenges of nursing. He's a content creator who has grown his platform by shedding light on the realities of healthcare through comedy. If you ever felt burnt out or overwhelmed by the bureaucracy of the system, or maybe you just need a good laugh, this episode is definitely for you. We're going to get into the pressures of bedside nursing, the biases we experience in healthcare, and how finding humor can really help get us through even the toughest shifts. So please welcome to the show our guest, the ICU nurse with a comedic touch, Godslove. Welcome to the show, Godslove.
Thank you for that wonderful welcome.
Thank you so much for being here. I want to talk a little bit about finding humor in healthcare. You've managed to build a platform around humor in an environment that's often so serious and stressful. What inspired you to use comedy to address the challenges nurses face, and how has it impacted your own experience with burnout?
So starting off, I did not intend to even grow a platform. I was at work and you know what they say, like nurses have dark sense of humor.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was at work and something had happened and I was scrolling on TikTok. I came across a sound. I was like, oh, I could totally relate to this. So I used the sound and pretty much made it applicable to nurses in that scenario. And it blew up at the time. At the time I got like 40,000 people that pretty much related to it, 40,000 views. I was like, oh, so there is a community out there that, that get my sense of humor. Because, nurses, when you make jokes, to non-healthcare workers, they tend to look at you like, what is wrong with you? Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So,
Right, right,
so
exactly.
I was like, okay, cool. So there is a community of people out here that want to see, this kind of content. And just from there, I just never stopped. This was back in 2022, still kind of getting over COVID.
Mhm.
And that is made my job in a way more less stressful, less serious. Like it is a serious job, of course, but like, it gives you like that kind of escape from the reality of the whole intensity of the job.
Right, right. And you're right. It's so funny. People don't get our jokes as healthcare workers.
Correct.
And
Correct.
because we're expected to be such a serious profession, and we are. We
And
are,
we
but
are
people,
right.
yeah, and we are, but it's like you have to. It's one of those things where what's the saying? You have to laugh to keep from crying. It's one
Exactly.
of those scenarios where you have to find the humor in certain situations because it's going to lead you down a rabbit hole of mental health issues. And I guess that's the only way I can really put it. Because
I
bias and
agree.
burnout in the healthcare system is so it's real, and people don't the layman, the average person doesn't really recognize that or understand that, and maybe some people are starting to, because I'm hearing more and more people share like, oh yeah, my mom's a nurse or my sister's a nurse and she talks about this and she talks about, so I understand what's going on in healthcare right now and the climate that's taking place. But as an ICU nurse, you've likely seen firsthand the impact of bias on patient care and even among colleagues. And how do you balance shedding light on these real issues with humor? Do you feel comedy can be a tool to address bias in the healthcare environment?
It can be. For example, if I just like, pull on my camera and started talking about, how there is a bias in healthcare, this and that, probably a lot of people won't sit there and watch it. You know what I'm saying? But if you find a way to integrate it in a comedy way, to where people can actually be like, oh, okay, this is funny, but at the same time, it's very relatable because, I just
Mhm.
experienced something like this. And then you try to keep it within like a short form because people's attention span is not as, it sucks these days. So you have to like find a way to kind of condense it to matter of seconds while still passing on the message that you intended to.
And you're right. I think people and I don't know if it's human nature, like people, they turn the blind eye to
Correct.
what's actually occurring. But and I can see what you mean. If I put a spin of comedy on it, now it's interesting, now they're listening, I guess, right?
Right.
And I'm really passionate about this because I see, my healthcare workers, and I see the environment of the nursing field. Burnout is a massive issue for bedside nurses, especially in high stake environments like the ICU. How has humor helped you personally cope with the stress, and what advice would you give to nurses who are feeling the weight of burnout? But don't know, I should say, how to release that tension,
That
because
tension.
because ICU nurses can be, and this, it could be very, very tense. And that's my opinion. So I'll let you speak to that and tell me what you think.
Yeah, personally, I love to laugh, and when I leave work, I leave that at work. If that makes sense,
Right.
at leaving work, I tend to leave everything pertaining to work at work, and the only time I kind of relieve it is when I'm trying to like make a content surrounding my experiences at work. So what I would advise, my advice to people out there that don't know how to cope with it, I would say just find something that you enjoy. And while you're at work, do something that takes your mind away from, the actual stress that comes with your job. Because, it's called a job for a reason, right?
Right. Right.
You have to find a check and balance. So to where, because if you, so there was this meme I shared not too long ago, and it was like nurses are the kind of humans to where they'll kiss their loved ones goodbye, go take care of a complete stranger, and for like 12 hours straight, all you're thinking about is this complete stranger that you know nothing about. You have to be able to dissociate, that from your personal life, so you don't let that, stop you from enjoying your personal life. So just find something that you enjoy. Personally, I love comedy and I love like, making people laugh. When I get that feedback from people, it makes me feel better about my job. And, I'm not as burnt out or as, I hate to use the word miserable, but I'm not as miserable, doing what doing
I'm
what I
sure
love to do.
I'm sure you're like a riot on your unit.
Yeah.
You've created, content that, as you mentioned, resonates with so many nurses and healthcare workers. What's your process of for turning everyday frustrations of nursing into something funny? And I guess it's a two-part question, right? Like, do you ever
Mhm.
worry that some aspects of the system you poke fun at might hit too close to home for certain audiences?
Yes, I have had that a lot, and is one of the prices you have to pay for being out there. Not everybody is gonna find everything that you put out there funny.
Right.
Some people are going to be like, okay, this is too much of a sensitive situation to talk about. But then guess what? Sweeping it under the rug isn't gonna address it either. So,
Exactly.
it's a way of creating awareness out there. And as a content creator, if you're gonna do that, you have to be able to take the backlash. Because
Right.
sometimes, all I can do is put out the content. How people interpret it is beyond my power. You get what I'm saying?
Right,
So,
right, right,
so
right.
some people take it the way that is intended, and some people will have their own interpretation entirely different from what originally intended to put out there.
Got you. Well, what is? Can you talk a little bit about? And I might be saying it wrong. Your website. Share
Yes.
what your website. Share your website, and then share like the meaning and the mission behind it.
So when I started my content creation, even before that, the scrubs I was wearing for work, they were fine, like they did the job. But then I was like, what if I make something just for me to wear? And that was the initial goal. And I did that. So, I pretty much customized my own scrub that I'm wearing. And then I use those in my videos a lot. And I was getting a lot of questions like, where can I get this? Where did you get this and that? I got tired of telling people, oh, I had it customized, I had this done, I had this done. I was like,
Mhm.
what if I mass produce it for people that are interested in it? And that was how my business came along. So I launched my business last year. It's called gmabrand.com. But the meaning of GMA is my name, Godslove Medical Apparels. So that is the GMA in it. And then brand is just because it's my brand, right?
Right, right, right,
so,
right.
so so that was how I came about. And we actually just hit our 1 year mark. And every day is a learning process and
Yep.
is slowly growing, slowly but surely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me, and I love that. I love to hear nurses, because we have such entrepreneurial spirits because in all of our skills that we learn in healthcare, they're so transferable. And so tell me, can you give our listeners some steps that you took in order to start your scrub business, your apparel business? And in your apparel, what, type of scrubs do you offer? Like what is it about the quality? Well, I'll wait and I'll get to that because I can like start throwing out a bunch of I'll take I'll take it a little easier on you. So first give
You're
us the
fine.
steps. Like what
I,
steps did you take to launch your business?
personally, you have to find at first you have to think of your name, of course, the name you want to use for it, and you have to find you have to design your logo. You know what I'm saying? So you have to either you can either use Fiverr. They have this app. It's Fiverr. So pretty much you can
Mhm.
either design it yourself or you can sort it out to people out there, and they're gonna do it for you at a very reasonable price. And
Yeah.
once you're satisfied with it, and you get to you can either start sorting out manufacturers, or you could um, get your LLC first. But it's
Mhm.
really up to you. You don't need an LLC to source, manufacturers. So you can't be doing that while you're in the process of getting your LLC, which was all
Mhm.
right. But in my situation, I got my LLC first because I was going back and forth with different manufacturer because I needed to, get that right material. that I felt
Right.
like is for me and is different from everything else that is already out there.
Hmm.
So it was a lot of back and forth with different manufacturers before I found the perfect one for me.
Okay.
And they've been the one I've been working with ever since. But once you get the manufacturer and you have your logo created, next step would be to design your website. Now you can sort that out as well. But in my case, I did that. I designed it myself using um Shopify. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's
Right.
pretty
Right.
much an online platform to where you
So
can go ahead.
go ahead. I'm sorry. So your website is through Shopify, and that's where they can find your apparel.
I created my website through them. Like I designed my online store through them. But to
Hmm.
look up my website, you just type it in Google like every other website,
Right.
www.gmabrand.com. But if you're looking for to build an online business, Shopify is a great tool to help you do
Mhm.
that, to build your online store.
Outside of the common steps of LLC, because I didn't, to be, it's so funny you mentioned that because I actually didn't. I was actually just working as a nurse consultant, and I actually said to myself, like, I need to turn this into a business. Like I was operating as a business, right? Because I was just
Mhm.
using my expertise for what I knew. And then I
Right.
decided to, actually open a business. So my consulting business. So I get what you're saying. But outside of the logo, the website, and like to your point, Shopify is amazing. Um, what main steps would you say there were, like you said, finding the manufacturer and going through the quality, and once you get the quality and everything down, how do you come up with the design? So did you hire a design team, or did you work with the manufacturer? How did you, really start
Well,
launching and getting your product?
so with in my case, I already have like an idea of what I want my crops to look like. And
Mhm.
pretty much I presented that to my manufacturer. And I was like, can you do this for me? And it took them a couple tries, but that was how it came about. So you
Yeah.
can either like I said, in my case, I kind of knew what I wanted, in a scrub, I knew what I wanted it to look like. So if you don't know that, or if you're having trouble bringing that into life, you can always work with a graphic designer, you know,
Right.
to come up with something good. And that is also where you can also go to Fiverr. The same is spelled Fiverr,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you can also go on there to work. There's a ton of graphic designers that you can work with. The
Fiverr's
resources
Fiverr's
out there is a
another
lot.
Yeah, Fiverr's another platform that I just I can't get enough of.
Yeah, I
um
love I
it,
love Fiverr.
right, right. That's so funny. Did you go through any programs to start your business? Or did you get any like a coach or mentorship, or this was just pretty much all on your own that you went out there and you
This
started it?
is
And how long did it take you to start your business?
So the idea first came alive in 2020.
Hmm.
That was when I thought about it. However, I didn't launch until 2023 last year. But that was
Okay.
that was but it doesn't necessarily have to take you that long. In my case, the mistake I made is that I wanted everything to be perfect. And
Mm,
that is what I tell
okay.
people, like, do not wait. There's never gonna be a perfect time for you to
Right,
do it.
right,
And
right,
even to this day, everything is still not perfect in running my business, but every single day is a learning opportunity. And
right,
you won't
right,
learn certain things unless you're actually doing it, if that makes sense.
right.
But yes, if you're trying to start it, it doesn't have to take you that long. If you already know what you want, just go for it,
There
because
you
time
go.
is not waiting for anybody.
There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where do you see the business going in the next maybe 3 years? Or where do you see God's Love's brand in the next 3 years?
My goal is to be up there with the top dogs. Fix
Okay.
Janu. Thing, you know. 'Cause I know they have like big sponsors and stuff like that, big investors. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get there someday to where I
Got
have
Do
those
you have any
investors.
sponsors? Do you have any sponsors
Right
right now?
right now it's just me.
Just you. All right. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And I definitely am all about nurses starting their own businesses to build generational wealth. And you may know as a business owner yourself, if you want to have make money or if you want to build wealth, really building generational wealth, entrepreneurship is the way to go. So
Yes,
that's
I
that's
agree.
that's that's my motto.
I agree. I agree. Because one thing with business is, granted, sometimes you might work more than you would if you were working for somebody else,
Right.
but you're not at burnt out. Like every day I get up and I'm like stressed out, tired, but I know I'm doing this for me.
Right.
And
Right.
that is like kind of the drive that you need behind you, versus working for somebody. If you're working for
Uh,
somebody, it should be optional. That's
I
that's
love
how I
that.
feel.
I love that. I love that, but we're not taught that as nurses, right? We're taught, and it's just the nature of the environment that we're in. No one really teaches, and like I said, I say this all the time. No one really teaches nurses the business side of nursing, right? And no one
Mhm.
teaches us the business side. And we're taught patient care. We're taught how to care for you. We're taught all of the clinical things, and it makes sense because those are the things that we need to know. But what happens, it puts us at a disadvantage when we go and we start a business or when we do something outside of healthcare. Like to your point, you went and you started your business. Your thought was in 2020 and you launched in 2023, which is amazing. That's that perfectionist in us, right? Wouldn't you
Yeah,
say?
yeah,
You wanted everything to be perfect. And that's where, coaching and mentoring comes in because just imagine having a business coach who could have helped you launch your business in 6 months. But we take our time and we do what we feel is best for us. And I think that that is just amazing. And I love to see nurses, it's inspiring. I love to see nurses taking that leap of faith and believing in themselves like you did. So you have your own scrub brand. You are you're an inspiration to other nurses with your comic relief because I'm sure they need it. Like I scroll all the time and I'm like, this guy is a riot. Like, so
thank you, thank you.
so I had to have you on the show. So thank you so much for coming on. Tell me, where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Noslove Official, TikTok, Noslove, Noslove Official, Facebook, same thing. And but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. YouTube is kind of different because it's like a whole different I'm working on make changing the content form for YouTube. So until
Okay.
then, I would leave that out of the way.
You, you, we'll leave that okay on the side. So we'll sidebar that.
Yeah. But yeah, those are my main three platforms. And then of course my business is www.gmabrand.com. And the business page is also GMA brand on Instagram and TikTok.
Awesome. All right. Amazing. All right. Well, there you have it, everyone. God's love with his gmabrands.com. And you know where to find them. So until next time, make sure that you stay inspired, stay educated. Out.
You know.